Coverage. Burrow trying to elude the pressure. Now he's going to take off and run it. He'll have a first down. He'll have a touchdown.
Did we win? I don't care. It don't make no difference to me. Just give me that wise Johnny Sheeran, whether he's mad or believing. Then we got Bridget in New Orleans, where she went to meet the Joey B. Number one podcast, Adios Podcast. Wonder if he'd pay me more money to say it again. Number one podcast, Adios Podcast. Wonder if he'd pay me more money to say it again. Yeah! And my name is Hoji Asmoji. I'm gonna show you what we're gonna talk about today.
Wow. That was quite the intro, Hoji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And if you had given me more than $12 for studio time, I would have finished the song. But
I noticed that it was just like, I have stuff to say. And you didn't say
right.
it.
I put $12 in the studio, and that was it. Cut.
It was worth it.
Hoji Doobie. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they used to call me.
Welcome to the number one biggest podcast, folks. I am joined by John the Brain Sheeran and Dr. Hoji Dr. Kismoji.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, and we don't have Bridget, the HR Jankars, to celebrate with us the Bengals getting into that groove in New Orleans. Obviously, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase recreating the magic they had at LSU.
At least for one play.
And yeah, well, for a lot of places. But I did have a chance to look into it, what Bridget is doing. She went to the game, but she is not back yet. And so I was a little, confused. And so I looked into it. And so at first she was taking pictures. Here we have Luana Rumo, obviously. And she took a picture with Lael Collins and our other friends there. We have, of course, the captain. And we have...
friend of the show.
And yes, and Jess, captain. And
May I say, the exquisite and really delicious captain.
Yes, and Jess.
And Jess.
And then we have Cam Taylor-Britt, who really excited about getting him on the field. But and that is when things kind of took a turn for kind of a different direction. And so if you look, what happens after this? After they take these pictures, I got to find the pictures, but look. So they put on some disguises, right?
Oh,
it seems innocent. Yeah, it seems innocent. But
It doesn't sound innocent. Sounds
no.
very... Yeah.
You see a rally start to take place. Very heated kind of exchange with the people of New Orleans. And it ends with Bridget installing a new flag for the people of New Orleans. Yes, imposing a new sort of, let's say, overlord, a new sort of... She basically disagrees with their, freedom to be Saints fans and is demanding that there was a Bengals fan there. And so that was unfortunate to see her kind of go down that radicalized route, but yeah.
I'm surprised you would say it's unfortunate. I mean, it just reminds me a lot of your peeps.
Unfortunate how? It seems like Operation Jackpot was a success, resounding success, I would say. Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. Well, we will see her next week, and we will get an update on that. But, John, I want to get your take on what you saw, because a lot of people are excited. A lot of people are excited to see the confidence, to see Joe Burrow escaping pressure, escaping danger, improvising.
Escaping a loss.
Going, what, John? 52 or 54 dropbacks were out of shotgun or something. A lot of shotgun.
Yeah.
And he says, we know who we are now. So, we can...
Who are they, really? So, okay, I'm glad you asked me that, about my opinion. Okay, last year, at this point, my statistical analysis tells me that last year at this point, we were 4-2. And that's a little disheartening because it wasn't a great 4-2 anyways. One of those wins was in overtime. 2 of those wins were by just 3 points. But after that point last year, the Bengals had 2 really ugly losses to the Browns and to the Jets. So I'm not saying we are where we were last year. We are behind where we were last year. But it's not that bad compared to last year. John.
I'm wearing black today because not everyone is excited. Some people are very sad. They're mourning the loss of their hopes and dreams, that the explosive offense for the Bengals was dead, and it's not. And it's only fitting that it kind of revived itself in the venue where Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase capped off one of the greatest seasons in college football history. I was wondering, watching this game, if Joe Brady kind of took his spot within the Bengals coaching staff in the press box and helped call this game, because it did look like the full transition to the LSU offense. Like Daddy has said, 52 out of 54 dropbacks were out of straight shotgun, 8 runs that ended up being runs were out of shotgun, 7 of 8 for Joe Mixon ended up being successful. You had a Joe Burrow who looked the most comfortable he's been this season, and this is including other performances where the pass protection has been okay, but you take him out from under center and you place him in shotgun where he's able to control the calls at the line. He's reading the defense through the entire play. He's not turning his back to the defense. He's able to make quick decisions. He's able to make multi-level reads. He's able to make the throws that this offense needs him to make and that he hasn't made in recent weeks, right? So much has been on the play calling, and it's not been enough about, hey, is Joe Burrow not playing at his best, and is that one of the reasons why the Bengals offense hasn't taken off yet? And even in this game, 30 points, and the Bengals probably left a little bit more on the bone there because they were still finding themselves in the first couple of drives. But Burrow looked as comfortable as he's ever been, and that's why he was able to take some of those risks, right? To extend some of those plays. And it seems like every time Burrow is able to evade one of those sacks and is able to stay alive and keep his eyes downfield, it's always going to end up being something positive. And that's exactly what it was. And I'm very glad that those moments came in a win and not a loss.
Okay, John. Okay, but 2 things. Number 1, I really enjoyed the Freudian slip there where you called him Joe Brady. I think it works. Number 2, what do you say to the skeptical person who watched that game and saw a little bit of faltering early on in the game, first of all? Second of all, the fact that T. Higgins is back, and some people were saying T. Higgins is the X factor. T. Higgins is mainly what was missing from the equation. John.
T. Higgins was at 85%, I think is what he said with his ankle, which is ironic because that's his number. And he looked about 85%, right? He had a drop. He wasn't really used down the field. It was all Jamar Chase in this game, and it was Tyler Boyd over the middle. And that was another thing, right? They utilized the middle of the field more, which is usually where T. Higgins also finds success. But Jamar Chase, I think he had a lot to show for in this game. Obviously, he was playing in the city where he grew up with. All of his family was there in the crowd. He wanted to make a statement. He wanted to show that I don't need to beat you guys over the top to get my production, right? I can make explosive plays out of short passes. And that's ultimately what the offense has also been missing. It's not just been the deep balls against coverages where the Bengals need to take the top off, right? It's getting the ball in Chase's hands, allowing him to make guys miss, and then creating explosive plays off that. That's where the majority of those big plays come from. It's not always just deep shots.
Speaking of Jamar Chase, John, I want to look at some plays, and we all love Jamar Chase. We know he's talented. I just want to talk about his strength and his hands, and so many examples in this game. And this was the game-winning touchdown, of course. And
look at that struggle. Look at that effort. Look at those legs. Look at that.
But
look at the prancing at the end.
Look at this one, John. Look at this. There's a critical.
This was so impressive.
3rd down. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
he really. Those last 2 yards were pure Chase.
Yeah.
But there wasn't an inch of that route where he wasn't like draped all over by the defender. And the same thing with here. He fought through the contact in the first 5 yards, and Burrow put it right on the money.
Yeah, I didn't really know why Chase was such a great prospect coming out. You know, I heard people say he doesn't have that elite speed, and he doesn't have this and that, and he doesn't have the size of a T. Higgins. But you watch him, and it's that strength, and it's that the kind of the violence. I mean, the fact that one thing that Joe Goodberry and you and before he was drafted pointed out was he shows his hands very late, and I've noticed that's an emerging trend with wide receivers is like just making the catch with like Devontae Adams and these kind of guys. That's one of their secrets. And so with Chase, a lot of it is just about the mental side of the game and the kind of the wanting it more than the guy across from you. And we saw it a lot this game, and we didn't seem to see the triple teams that you see, in other games as well.
Well, because I think that's where the Higgins factor comes in.
Right.
I mean, I think there were more options.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Tyler Boyd made a couple of really big plays too.
Yeah.
But, John, the other thing we want
But
to
it
talk
was,
about...
I mean, the Bengals were trailing all of the game. I mean, you guys, it's great. I'm gung-ho and let's be like Bridget and take over New Orleans and blah, blah, blah. The Bengals were losing this entire game. I mean, the whole game long, the Bengals were trailing up until the end. Not trailing the Buccaneers, not trailing the Chiefs, not trailing the Rams. They were trailing the New Orleans Saints with an Andy Dalton starter. With an Andy Dalton starter.
I look at
I mean,
it
no.
differently.
You got to be fair.
Because when the predator, okay, is trailing, technically he's trailing the prey for half an hour, 45 minutes. It's like, what is he doing? He's losing. No, he's not losing. He knows exactly when to pounce. And
But in this season, though, and both of their wins, they were up ahead early in the game, and they didn't have to come from behind and win. This is the first time we've seen them in this situation where they were really successful last year, because last year was not perfect. They fell behind many a time, and they came back and showed resiliency and actually won. This is the first example where things didn't start well, right? You had Trent Taylor fumbling the punt return. You had a couple 3-and-outs to begin on offense, and it allowed the Saints to just get into their zone and just pound the rock and rush for 224 rushing yards throughout the game with their diverse attack. It allowed the Saints to do what they wanted to do without three of their top receivers, and it didn't matter because the Bengals offense still found ways to win, and that is the most important takeaway here.
Well, John, let's be honest. This game was all about the 200 and something 30 yards rushing, and that it wasn't even the number of yards rushing. It was the fact that they were getting like 8 or 9 yards a carry, and someone put this a stat that since DJ Reader's been out, our defense against the run went from being top 10 to like bottom 5.
And that's going to bite us if we don't have
DJ Reader
against the Browns.
He'll be back.
Because we need DJ Reader against those teams that dominate, in terms of the run.
The funny thing is this. I feel like last year, the defense caught fire late, and the offense didn't need to be explosive. I feel like this offense finding its identity as an explosive offense that can be a little more consistent and get that magic, in different ways, I feel like that'll pay off in the long run. If we can win some offensive shootouts in the regular season, then in that cold weather, when we have to stop the rushing games, we have DJ Reader. I think it'd be a nice little, experience.
Well, it's not even just being explosive. Like, the explosive plays will come if you remain on script for most of the game, and that's exactly what the Bengals did. This was the most successful outing in the Zach Taylor, Joe Burrow era from a successful play standpoint on first and second down. That was their biggest weakness on offense entering this week. It wasn't just the fact that they weren't stretching the field, is that they were falling behind on first and second down and forcing themselves into these third and long situations where, fortunately, they've been mostly successful compared to most other teams, but they've been shooting themselves in the foot. In this game, they were 59% successful on all plays and 58% successful on first down. That means you had a lot of third and second and shorts, and you kept the playbook open for everything that you wanted to do. They came in here with a clear plan, and they wanted to fully shift into this LSU type of spread shotgun RPO offense, and that's what they were able to do because they limited the negative plays on the early downs.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, let's be honest, John, a lot of those conversions came from Joe Burrow magic, right?
You're talking about people converting from being Saints fans to Bengals fans.
No. I mean, Joe Burrow is moving around like there. Well, that wasn't. I think that was incomplete. But we saw a bit of him kind of, getting back into the Joe Burrow kind of running
there we
around.
Go. That's the one. That is the play. This is the play.
This is like if the AFC Championship game.
Well, let me just say. So there are probably people listening who cannot see video right now because they might be driving or something like that. If that's you, what you just saw was now that's the magical play. That's why I said there's one. The magical play is when Joe Burrow moves around, he misses. There's two or three times that they try. Like he slips. It's almost as if he has WD-40 on his clothes. He slips past them,
I mean, it's the awareness,
And-
it's the looking down, keeping his eyes down the field, all of that
Yeah.
kind of a stuff that we've been wanting to see, that we saw in the most critical moments last year. And then, of course, there's his touchdown, which you look at this. I mean, the whole pocket collapses. He bumps into his own guy, and he just takes off. I mean, he just runs it in for the touchdown.
He honestly
And
looked
we
like
saw-
Andy Dalton there.
I
That's
don't-
a very Andy Dalton move.
No. But, I mean, Joe Burrow, basically, it's a confidence thing with him. I mean, obviously, we know that he is got a lot of confidence overall in his ability, but it was, I think it's the injuries.
It was
and
shaken. The
appendix and
confidence was shaken.
70s. I mean, yeah, we talked about this. I
He
mean,
was
the
doing too
70
many
sacks.
shows.
Was 100 sacks if you count the postseason or something? Or no, 7. I don't know. It was a lot of sacks. And then, yeah, I mean, so the fact that I think that Dolphins game, we saw Joe Burrow getting back to his creative, confident self. I don't know what happened. The Ravens game was not quite like that, but I think he's getting there. I think I really
He's
do.
getting there, but another thing is the offensive line is gelling. I mean, one of the things that has really impressed me is I saw a tweet. I can't remember whose tweet this was, but they was analyzing the number of sacks this year and saying that basically the percentage now is like a normal offensive line, whatever that means. In other words, we should technically, if you have an offensive line that's working better than last year and you have the same receivers and you have Joe Burrow, we should be seeing great improvement. Now, we haven't been seeing great improvement yet, but that, as John's saying, maybe that's what's coming. Maybe this was the beginning of the end for the rest of the NFL.
Well, it's here now. Like, it's not just Burrow he has found himself, I think, and it's because he's in an offense where he's not asked to play multiple styles of quarterback, because that was the biggest issue with the offense early on, is that they were trying to marry a wide zone under center running game with a spread shotgun passing game, and it became really predictable for defenses to just either put a safety up in the box when Burrow's under center or just keep your safeties back. And then they started shifting more and more into just primarily just a shotgun offense. But now when you have full autonomy and you have full conformity just to a single identity, it allows you to be more unpredictable and to make these calls at the line and to stay in the same personnel while doing different things. That's harder for a defense to understand, but also Burrow has experience with this, right? It's what he did at LSU. It's the same type of style and scheme that he was comfortable with, and it's credit to the Bengals coaching staff for doing this, because you have to remember who these coaches are and where they came from and their philosophies. Zach Taylor was bred under the Sean McVay and the Bill Callahan offense. That's under center with a lot of wide zone. Brian Callahan, his dad is Bill Callahan. That's where he came from. Frank Pollock was coached under Bill Callahan. He's wide zone too. So all these guys, are majoring or have majored in under center passing offenses with those running games, and now they're fully integrated into doing what's best for Burrow. So credit to them.
Which you should call what? The shotgun. What is this as opposed to wide zone? What do you call this?
Well, this is a lot of inside zones, a lot of gap duo power runs, just straight up the middle, married with a shotgun offense in passing game.
So, okay.
Shotgun
now,
marriage,
when are we going to talk about the next game? Because I
Shotgun marriage.
am more interested in the future than I am the past.
Look, first I want to talk about what you said previously, which is the offensive line. John, I want to look at some clips of the offensive line, and they are making improvement, especially Lael Collins.
P. Ryan in the backfield alongside Burrow on 3rd and 10. That's
So we saw him throw his guy to the dirt there, and here's another angle of it. Beautiful play here. He throws his guy to the dirt, and he threw Cameron Jordan to around a lot, and that's a good player.
God, he just
right?
looks so much more comfortable entering his sets. Like those first two
Yeah.
kick slides, there's a lot more confidence. There's a lot more explosion out of it. So he's not, rushing to get to the edge. And I think that allows him to have better footwork. And once you have that base in there, then you just let that natural power take over. And that's where you're seeing those impact blocks.
I mean, he sat on this guy, John. How would you describe this play? Look, he just sits on him. Can you do
snatch
that?
and trap.
A
Yeah,
snatch and
of course.
trap, yeah.
Yeah, that's legal.
I've wanted to do that before. I didn't know it was legal. Yeah.
I don't think you're big enough to do that.
Well, it's legal for him because he's in the NFL. There's a lot of things you can do on the field that you can't do, like in the elevator.
I see. Look at that.
Yeah, beautiful.
That guy, yeah. He just.
But I mean, okay, great, but they got like 4 yards.
You're not thinking of it in the right way. The point is, he's doing his
that
job.
one
You
was
have
a
to.
missed pass.
But what did Lel Collins have
That's-
anything to do with the drop,
Nothing. But I'm
Exactly.
saying,
Yeah.
the game was okay.
But so we had basically our good friend Angel Face Parker Blake couldn't be on the show. We love him. He's
Yeah.
going to try to come on later. But he was basically saying Lael is trending upwards. Volson kind of had the off game. But Volson's a rookie. Volson's a rookie. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to know, John, here. So he's doing the pooling thing. And I feel like he's trying to not hurt the guy, or he's just being very gentle when he's pulling and pushing him, right?
What do you mean by
And-
pulling and pushing exactly?
John, what do I mean?
So he's pulling out of his spot around the formation and then pushing into the guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But he didn't push hard enough because the guy didn't move. In
guy
fact, he
didn't
moved him
move.
actually into the running back there.
Yeah, that was
But it's the first
very
down.
great clip.
So
First down, who cares?
Yeah. So, mission
So now,
accomplished.
on to next week. Now, I am worried about the Bengals. The defensive performance wasn't what it should have been, could have been against the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are not a dominant offense as far as I'm concerned when led by Andy Dalton. How much should I worry about next week? John.
oof. Atlanta can run the ball.
They
the
can.
Bengals are having issues stopping the run, which is not
Yeah.
a good combination.
No.
But that's why Atlanta is taking people by surprise. I think their offensive line is performing above expectation. They have a scheme and athletes at the running back spot that's allowing them to get a lot of yards over expectation. I think it's a good system that they have. Somehow they've managed to accumulate, by all accounts, personnel that kind of fits what Arthur Smith wants to run, and they unapologetically pound the rock more than any other team in the NFL right now. So the Bengals, now I don't think that DJ Reader is necessarily worth like 2 or 3 wins in a season, but there are plays where like, hey, Reader can probably shed that block, right? And he can probably make that tackle, and he just gives the whole defensive line a boost because that's a lot of space that he takes up, and he still ends up making those stops. So when you take him out of the equation for like a Josh Tupou, there is a difference. But now you don't have Tupou for this game. You don't have a true nose tackle on the roster right now. So you either have to elevate Tyler Shelvin, you have to sign the guy off the street to take that role, because behind him, man, like Zach Carter, he's a rookie, he's not playing well. J2 Faley made his debut, but he's not a nose tackle. So I don't know what they're really going to do, but they have to figure out something out, because if not, Atlanta can just run the ball down the middle and probably gain 4 or 5 yards a carry.
I know.
But John, on the positive side, I think our pass rush is really coming around, John. I mean, Sam Hubbard, I feel like he's a pass rusher now. And this play, right, this was the most important play of the game, I think, for the Saints. 3rd and 10, 30-something seconds left. 4-man rush, and it's beautiful. Don't you think so, John? I mean, I think the pass rush is far exceeded
Play that
our
again. Play that again.
expectations.
Play
BJ
the-
Hill? Yeah, okay. So you see BJ Hill, I think
Yeah, it
was
was,
the first one to
it was
get there.
BJ Hill who beat him, right?
No,
And
I
that's
know,
why- yeah.
but Hubbard is still getting a nice push, and I've seen him in the backfield a lot, on passing plays, not just running plays. And obviously Trey Hendrickson, we know what he can do. I feel like we have a pretty good, top half of the league pass rush. Is it just
I mean,
me?
the Falcons really made the 49ers not look so good. And it seems to me like the things that the 49ers had problems with, we would have problems with too in that situation. That's why I'm worried.
Yeah, the 49ers, I don't believe they had their best pass rusher, Nick Bosa, and that might have impacted things. The Falcons, I don't think they have a great offensive line, but they still managed to create holes and just clear guys out of their gaps. So they run a good scheme, and I think the Bengals defense and defensive line just has to take a long look in the mirror this week and say, hey, if we don't do this, then the game can get out of control, just like it could have gotten in control against the Saints. I agree, Hoji. Like, this game was not all roses and butterflies.
No.
Like the Bengals were down for most of this game, and they managed to come back. But that couldn't be, that maybe not have been the case if they were facing a good offense like the Falcons have.
John, what about this question? Can we just sell out to stop the run? And
That's not going to work. I mean,
gonna work.
if you just put 8-9 guys in the box, like, that's just asking to get burned over the top by Kyle Pitts and Drake London and whoever else the Falcons have.
Has Kyle Pitts got on track this year? I know
Apparently
early on-
not. I don't think they know he
You don't want to
exists,
be his
but
breakout game, though.
That's true. Wait, how is our guy that covers tight ends? How is he doing? Trey Flowers, is that right?
yeah, he hasn't played well this season.
Yeah.
He didn't play well against Mark Andrews. I think he didn't play necessarily well yesterday either. So
Yeah. So we're back to not being able to cover tight ends. Well, I guess that is it.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything, John. Do you have
no,
anything?
I'm good.
Do the
I'm good.
fans have anything?
Does anybody have a question for us? Are they wondering how to subscribe or to like or to comment?
I saw Andrew Sealer was worried about how the Lord had favored Burrow and Chase because I had
Right.
predicted. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think he had his own prayer circle, Andrew Sealer, before the game. He did his own, and he countered Dalton's prayer circle.
So young man, it looks like the Lord has favored you.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, I mean,
Now-
he is watching this show. Yeah,
What should people put in the YouTube comments this week?
I feel like this week they should put in: is the offense? Does it have an identity? Are they going
The
to
Bengals
be able
offense.
to the Bengals offense? Are they going to be able to sustain this new semi-success?
That's a lot for a YouTube comment.
And can they survive DJ Reader? Can they? You know,
That's
get
not how
back
it
on
works.
track?
You can't add you can have 3 things for the YouTube
Okay.
comment. It has to be a simple are we going to make the playoffs? Yes or no? Put it in a YouTube comment.
Right. Put that in there too. And I guess I would say also, I've been trying to get John to do a rap, and he isn't sure if that's what people want. So
Well,
let John know if that is what you
Oh,
want. if you
all right.
want to.
He's
got a
not
comment.
into-
I got a comment because we're playing in Atlanta this week, right? A lot of great rappers from Atlanta. Comment your favorite Atlanta rapper, and I will try to do a rap in his style and his inflection.
Wow.
I was going to say John's not into cultural appropriation, but wow.
Not necessarily, but if they go to 4-3, I'll honor like Young Thug or Playboy.
I love it.
That is
You guys are
incredible.
lucky. You will not get the second chance at this audience.
You will
John
not.
Sheeran has thrown you a lottery ticket with the winning numbers on it. All you got to do is rub them off.
Right? And with that, I would say that you can obviously follow John's stuff on cincyjungle.com. You can follow on Twitter. You can follow him around his house. You can subscribe here. You can like. You can share. You can do whatever you want. You can take this podcast with you to the bathroom. You can take it with you to the doctor. You can, I don't know, but just make sure that you follow us everywhere and you subscribe everywhere, and that you patronize us on patreon.com/DHS Sports. That's all I have for John the Brain Sheeran and Dr. Roger. We'll see you next time. So long, sweetie pie.